right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video as we recap everything in Niner news on a Thursday, February the 12th. And, of course, thanks to Pig and a Pickle. 2 locations right now, Emeryville and Corte Madera, a third on the way in Petaluma. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out, and they do run out, so get there early. Get some brisket chili. Say hi to Damon. Today is his birthday, so happy birthday, Damon, and tell him that Krug sent you. All right. Of course, we're also brought to you by our friends at Sleeper. We'll talk about Sleeper in just a bit, but let's get right into some of the news and notes around the 49ers. The Niners entered the offseason with significant roster decisions that lie ahead. There's a total of 28 players scheduled to hit free agency next month. 21 of them will be unrestricted free agents. Now, there was a report today from CBS Sports' Zachary Perelis, who believes the free agent that's most critical for the Niners to re-sign Jauan Jennings? No, it's Eddie Piñeiro. And he points out Eddie Piñeiro was incredible. He was a revelation. He went 28 of 29 on field goals. He made 97% of his field goals. That's the best percentage in the NFL. For whatever reason, did not become the all-pro kicker. He probably should have been. Signed with the 49ers after Jake Moody struggled in week 1 against Seattle. So the former undrafted free agent Piñeiro originally entered the NFL with the Raiders in 2018. He also spent time with the Bears, the Jets, the Panthers. According to Spot Track, Piñeiro's projected market value sits at $5.4 million per year, which is a significant jump from what he made last year. He made $1.2 million. So, whatever the price tag is, you got to get it done. You got a good kicker. That was what you got out of this year. Was you've discovered your kicker, you refound your special teams. So you got to get Eddie signed for sure. I would agree with CBS Sports' Zachary Perelis. I think signing Eddie Piñeiro absolutely is. He's the priority free agent the Niners have to sign. The Niners are headed back to Mexico City in 2026. That is all confirmed now. The 49ers are going to serve as the designated home team for a regular season game at Estadio Banorte, formerly known as Estadio Azteca, which has been renovated, and this will be during the 2026 NFL season. The opponent has not yet been announced, but the Niners will be the home team, which is fair because most of the fans in Mexico City are Niner fans. The Niners played Arizona there last time. Arizona was the home team. 90% of the crowd was rooting for the Niners. It just didn't seem equitable to have the Niners be the road team in Mexico City. So when they go back, they will be the home team. One of the big questions that we're bandying about right now is why are the Niners a team that struggles in the early rounds of the draft where it should be easier to hit on stars, but they really excel on day 3 and after the draft when it should be very difficult to find good players. And it's not like, oh, well, that's just 1 year. No, it's every year. 2017, they drafted Solomon Thomas and Reuben Foster in the first round. Those guys were busts. But they also discovered George Kittle and DJ Jones on day 3. Kind of saved the whole draft. 2018, same thing happened. Mike McGlinchey, Dante Pettis went in the first 2 rounds. Those guys weren't very good. Neither earned a second contract with the Niners. But the Niners found Fred Warner and DJ Reed later on in the draft. 2019, Niners hit early with Nick Bosa and Deebo Samuel, but they still wasted a day 2 pick on Jalen Hurd and then discovered Dre Greenlaw on day 3. I know this isn't a science. It's people picking people. It's always rife with inconsistencies, but this is unbelievable. It's really a trend. 2020, Niners drafted Javon Kinlaw in the first round. Wasn't very good, but they discovered Colton McKivitz and Jauan Jennings on day 3 in that same draft. Kind of saved them. No draft was saved more than the next 2 with what they did on day 3. 2021 draft, this is the Trey Lance draft. The Niners wasted 4 picks in rounds 1, 2, and 3 on Trey Lance, Aaron Banks, Trey Sermon, and Ambry Thomas. None of those four guys signed a second contract with the Niners. But they did discover Jalen Moore, Demo Lenore, Talanoa Hufanga, and Elijah Mitchell all on day 3. 2022 was the same thing. First 3 picks were Drake Jackson, Ty Davis Price, and Danny Gray. And yet on day 3 of the draft, The Niners found Spencer Burford, Kalia Davis, and of course their starting quarterback, Brock Purdy. 2023, same thing. Niners drafted Jake Moody and Cam Latu on day 2, and then found guys like Darrell Luter and D. Winters late on day 3. 2024, the Niners took Ricky Pearsall in round 1. He's had a hard time getting on the field, but they also took Malik Mustafa and Tatum Bethune on day 3. 2025, this last draft, Niners drafted Nick Martin in the 3rd round. He couldn't get on the field basically as a rookie and made no impact at all, but the Niners did get solid play later in the draft from guys that they took later in the draft. Malik Mustafa has been really good. Marquise Siegel, or I should say CJ West, Marquise Siegel, Connor Colby, all were day 3 picks. So, I mean, this is kind of a trend. I don't have the answer. I'm not sure why, but it's pretty obvious that the Niners are struggling. Maybe they should, whatever their process is in day 1 and day 2, maybe they ought to scrap it because they're not picking the right guys on day 1 and day 2. PFF lists the Niners as the best landing spot for free agent veteran guard Joel Bitonio. Now, Bitonio is supposedly contemplating retirement, but if he wants to keep it going, maybe the Niners are a good fit. He's really a good player. I mean, he really is. He's a great zone blocker. He ranked in the 91st percentile in PFF's run blocking grade over the past 3 seasons. Shanahan was the Browns OC back in 2014 when they originally drafted Bitonio in the 2nd round, I believe out of Nevada. He would be he's a tough guy, brawler. I mean, they need to get some toughness on that line, whether they're young guys or old guys. They got to start moving some of these Seahawk defensive linemen. And Bitonio is tough, and he's strong. He can move guys. I've been using Cash App for a while now. It's just an easy way to send money, keep track of spending, and use a card that actually fits how I pay for things day to day. And they just launched something new I think is worth knowing about. Cash App just released a new status program for the way people actually spend called Cash App Green. It unlocks new ways for you to pay, get rewarded, and easily grow or manage your money on your terms. Now, when you spend at least $500 a month with Cash App, with the Cash App card or Cash App Pay, you earn green status, which unlocks benefits like up to $200 of free overdraft coverage, higher borrow limits, and custom personalized cashback offers every Friday at places you love to shop. Turn everyday spending into status with Cash App Green. Download Cash App today or visit cashapp.com/new to learn more about this and get great features launching now. For a limited time, new Cash App customers can earn $10 if they use the code CashApp10, CashApp10 in their profile at signup. And send $5 to a friend within 14 days. Terms apply. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Cash App Green, overdraft coverage, borrow cashback offers and promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cashapp.com/legal/podcast for full disclosures. Brian Baldinger says the Niners should move on from Ji'Ayir Brown and Jake Brendel. Wow. He went on the radio. He said, I'm trying to remember the last play Ji'Ayir made, maybe his rookie year. If your safeties aren't taking the ball away, how valuable are they to you? And he also said the Niners should upgrade the center position. He said good centers are hard to find. If you have a great center, you have a great line. It's hard to have a great line without a great center. The Niners are trying to do that, and they don't have a great center. Jeremy Fowler says many high-level executives around the NFL expect the Eagles to entertain trade offers for A.J. Brown. A lot of people think New England was going to be his next home. Would the Niners call up the Eagles? They made a trade last year for Bryce Huff. Would they make another one for A.J. Brown? Somebody threw out a Ayuk for A.J. Brown. I don't think that's happening. Why would Howie Roseman do that deal? He'd have to be drug tested if he traded A.J. Brown for Brandon Ayuk at this point. We mentioned before the Niners are in Mexico City. Niners are going to play 2 international games this year. They're going to play in Mexico City, and they're also going to play in Sydney, Australia. How about that? Week 1 against the Rams. Very interesting points brought up today by Chase Sr. on X. He says he's asking the question, are the Niners going to trade Mac Jones? They've said they want to keep him. He clearly resurrected his career, but the Niners badly need to, get good value and help use Mac Jones to help their rebuild. And if you look at all the quarterback needy teams, Pittsburgh, Miami, the Jets, the Vikings, the Cardinals, the Raiders, the Falcons, I mean, there might even be more than that. It's going to be tough for the 49ers to justify holding on to Mac Jones. I mean, I didn't even name all the teams. The Browns are looking for a quarterback. The Colts, Daniel Jones, they found their guy, but he's out for the year with the Achilles most likely. And then the other big question is Deebo going to return to the Niners? There's a lot of talk that the Niners may be interested in a reunion. They should not be. They've got the oldest offense in the NFL last year. They need to get younger, faster, cheaper, more explosive. Deebo doesn't help any of those areas. So that's going to be something to watch. George Kittle was saying, hey, I'd love to have Deebo back. Really? Because he's slow as heck and he made very few plays and he's not any faster than when he left. I don't know. Personally, I would say no. And also, I don't want to see the 49ers lean on their past players. Just enough of that. They did that all year this year. Here comes Kendrick Bourne. Here comes Malik Turner. Every time they had a need, they just went back to somebody that Shanahan knew from 3 years ago. Do you guys have a personnel department? I mean, do you have one? Maybe go look at new players, not just old players. And please resist any and all urgency, leanings to go back to Armstead or Hargrave or Greenlaw or But don't go back to any of these guys. You got rid of these guys for a reason. Remember that. George Kittle, who might be one of the great tight ends in NFL history, put out his Mount Rushmore of tight ends. He's going Dallas Clark, Rob Gronkowski, Tony Gonzalez, and Antonio Gates. Okay, it's not bad. I mean, he's a young man, so I didn't have the NFL history down. You got to have Kellen Winslow on your list, right? Kellen Winslow was a great, great player. He absolutely is one of the greatest tight ends that ever played. There's no doubt in my mind. Tony Gonzalez has got to be on the list, and he is. He's got Gronk on the list. He should be on the list. He's got Dallas Clark. That's some oddball, fascination with Iowa. I'm sure that was probably the reason he went to Iowa was Dallas Clark. I'm going to push Dallas Clark aside and go ghost to the post. Give me Dave Casper, who was a phenomenal offensive lineman and then just became a behemoth monster tight end. Catching passes from Kenny Stabler. Nobody remembers this from the 70s, but Dave Casper, come on. My Mount Rushmore of tight ends is Kellen Winslow, Tony Gonzalez, Rob Gronkowski, and Dave Casper. I wanted to throw Bavaro in there, but I couldn't do it. There's been a ton of talented tight ends through the years, but if you're really going to go based on what they accomplished, I'll go Casper, Gronk, Tony Gonzalez, and Kellen Winslow. Couple other thoughts before we get out of here. One, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, according to Chase Sr., he thinks would be a nice signing for the Niners in free agency. And, basically what he's saying here is that the Niners need that difference maker on the back end. They need that violent player. The Niners have been one of the worst teams in football at generating turnovers the last couple of years. C.J. Gardner-Johnson is a true ball hawk. He will create turnovers. He'd bring an edge and an intensity to this defense. They badly need it. He can play every spot in the secondary. He can play corner, base. He can play on the boundary. He can play the slot. He can play nickel. He can play safety, free safety, deep. He can cover the deep middle. He can play in the box. I mean, the guy's a winner. He's tough. He's nasty. He had some beef with Deebo, but Deebo's not here anymore. I would definitely, if I could bring in C.J. Gardner-Johnson, I would do it. Go look at his track record. Wherever he's been, his teams win. He was in Chicago this year. They won. Before that, he was in Philly. They won the Super Bowl. Before that, he was in Detroit. They went to the NFC Championship game. Before that, he was in Philly. They went to the Super Bowl. I mean, this guy is a player, and he was at Florida back in the day. And he runs a little hot, but this is the kind of player that the Niners need. They need a little bit more edginess on defense. By the way, on the Deebo thing, his contract voided today, so $12.3 million of dead cap goes to the Commanders. Deebo's 30, earned $18.2 million last year. He carries a near $16 million valuation into free agency. If this guy thinks he's getting any kind of money let him get it elsewhere. Do not pay this guy big money to come back. That will be a really, really bad sign. If the Niners start leaning on these old has-been guys that they used to know and used to be good, the end is near for the regime. It will be a bad indication if they start they start dialing back. Oh, let's bring back Armstead. Let's bring back Greenlaw. Let's bring back, the end is near. Just know it to be the case. Kyle Posey from Niners Nation weighed in with a couple different thoughts. He said getting familiar with the different names in free agency and fits for the Niners. Talked about how the Patriots safety Jalen Hawkins is a perfect complement to Malik Mustafa. Hawkins, of course, went to Cal. He was drafted by the Atlanta Falcons when Raheem Morris was the defensive coordinator. So maybe Hawkins is a good fit. I would say Kobe Durant, Jalen Hawkins, David Onyemata, just a few players that I could see potentially joining Raheem Morris in San Francisco. There are rumors going around that the Niners are expected to bring in Joey Bosa. It's been the dream of the Bosa brothers to play together. Joey had a pretty good year in Buffalo. I don't know how they're going to make it work financially, but that is interesting. He would help their rush. Niners need more rush. He's not younger, cheaper, faster, leaner, none of those things. PFF's latest mock draft has the Niners drafting Clemson defensive end TJ Parker. I was very impressed by Parker and some of his long arm pass rushes where he just uses that long arm as leverage. He's really interesting. TJ Parker looked great at the Senior Bowl practices. Niners have, obviously Nick Bosa, Bryce Huff, they have Mikael Williams coming back from the torn ACL. You got Bosa coming back from the torn ACL. The Niners badly need to upgrade the D-line. Parker notched an 85.0 plus career PFF grade as a pass rusher and a run defender. So he's a really good player. I mean, obviously how fast he runs will be interesting because he's a bigger defensive end. He's like 265, 270. And I'm interested to see what he runs. If he runs a really slow time, maybe he's more of a day 2, day 3 guy. If he runs a really fast time, he could be a late first-round pick. We mentioned earlier this week that the Niners could easily go after Kirk Cousins if he gets released. And a lot of people think he is going to be released by the Falcons before the draft. Well, today there's a report that the Arizona Cardinals are expected to have interest in Kirk Cousins. So why would he come to the Niners as the backup if he can go to the Cardinals as the starter? Couple other last notes. As far as the NFL free agency, it's approaching. We are about 2 weeks away from the start of free agency. And just so, if you want to keep track of this stuff, who's in cap hell? Who's going to wind up releasing a bunch of players just to become, in line with the cap? Well, the top 5 teams as far as cap hell, the Chiefs are $54.9 million over the cap. So they're going to say goodbye to a lot of players. Vikings are $40.1 million over the cap. Dallas, $29.1 million over the cap. Dolphins, $16.4 million over the cap. And the Jaguars, the young Jaguars, you wouldn't think of them as a cap team that's over the cap, but they are. $11.4 million over the cap. Lions, Bills, and Saints are the next 3 that are at least between 6 and 8 million over the cap. So those are the teams that are over the cap the most. And, we'll see. Those are the teams that are going to have to make a number of cuts to their roster as we get closer to the new league year in March. Our friend Dane Brugler, who we had on the show, who writes the best draft guide out there, the Beast, has his updated top 100 broken down by position. He's got 17 wide receivers in the top 100 players. He's got 16 edge rushers in the top 100 players. The most of any position in the draft. And where do the Niners really need help? Wide receiver. They got to have pass rush, and they got to have some wide receivers. Probably need 2 wide receivers. Could definitely use a couple pass rushers, inside, outside. So it's interesting. 30, what do you got? 33 players out of his top 100 are either wide receivers or edge rushers. So the draft, in a lot of ways, aligns perfectly for the 49ers. What will be interesting in this draft is this going to be a turning point for the Niners on the offensive line. 2 of the mock drafts I looked at today have the Niners taking offensive linemen in the first round. Is this the year that they finally, bolstered their offensive line? They're always talked about, oh, we don't need to take offensive linemen early. Okay, but now you don't have your center's weak. Your left guard's probably going to be a new left guard. Your left tackle's ancient. Your right tackle is solid, but nothing more. Your right guard's solid, but nothing more. I mean, you don't have a great player on your offensive line that's young. Getting a great player on that offensive line would probably should be on their list of things to do. One more note here. We should tell you that 49er football season all season long has been brought to you by Sleeper. Quick shout out to our friends at Sleeper. You already know Sleeper, Sleeper for fantasy football and daily fantasy, but they're also right now they've rolled out something new called Team Picks. Team Picks is built right into the Sleeper app, and it lets you make simple predictions on game outcomes instead of worrying about player stats and setting lineups. You're just choosing which team you think is going to win. It's real easy. It's designed to be straightforward, and it's easy to understand, especially if you like following games closely but don't want to deal with all the complexity of dealing with lineups and that kind of thing. So if you're already on Sleeper for fantasy, it's right here waiting for you. And if you're new, Sleeper continues to be an all-in-one platform for following your teams and staying connected to the action. So check it out, sleeper.com. Thanks to Sleeper for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. One last note, the Niners probably need another running back. And the guy that I really love, and there's a bunch of them, I love Kalen Black from Indiana, but the guy who's really looked good in this offseason so far is Mike Washington Jr. for Arkansas. 12 games this year for Arkansas. He had 1,296 scrimmage yards, 9 total touchdowns, 6.4 yards per carry, 3.9 yards after contact per rush. He had 24 explosive runs. The Niners had no explosive runs this year. Their most explosive run was D. Winters' pick 6. The Pro Football PFSN college running back impact grade was 88.6. He was one of the biggest risers at the Senior Bowl. My only concern with Washington is he does put the ball on the carpet from time to time, so the fumbles could be an issue. But good football player, good back, big back, and a guy who's got explosive capabilities, a real slasher. To me, Mike Washington would be an absolutely phenomenal compliment to Christian McCaffrey, as the Niners go forward. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to Sleeper. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.